Well, time now for Media Watch. Emma James is with us in the studio. And Emma, we're going back to a story I was just talking to a guest about a few moments ago. The UK is one of 3 countries who've opted out of this EU plan to force EU member states to accept a certain number of asylum seekers. All of this, of course, the EU's plan to stop the migrant tragedies in the Mediterranean Sea. What kind of reaction has there been online and in the press to that today?
Well, they are human tragedies, but it's also something of a political dilemma, this story. And if we take a look at the Times, they actually had this opinion piece written by Theresa May herself, the Home Secretary of the United Kingdom. And in it, she kind of puts her case, if you like, for the fact that, as she puts it, the EU is putting migrants at risk. So she's placing the blame squarely on them, not on the UK for saying, no, we're not going to take them. She says the situation as it is now is intolerable. But she highlights the criminality of those involved in this, those people who are taking the money of people looking for a better life, perhaps fleeing danger and persecution. She says that we mustn't do anything that gives people more reason to give those people the money and allow this kind of criminal activity to continue.
She says it's about undermining the motivation and thereby destroying the people trafficking business.
Exactly. Whether that is something that would work or not, it's difficult to say, but certainly that's what she's arguing. So they won't participate in this sort of mandatory taking 20,000 migrants. She says 3,500 people died in 2014. But if we take a look at the Telegraph, the Independent, they've actually got some more up-to-date figures on this one. And they say so far this year, 60,000 people have attempted to make the crossing over the Mediterranean, and that 1,800 of them have died. Now, of course, it is notoriously difficult to verify any of the numbers involved in these stories because of the way in which it's playing out. It's just impossible. But what I can say is that those numbers are 20 times higher than the same period in 2014.
Right, it's the deadliest year yet, isn't it? For
exactly. It is a terrible situation. Now, one diplomat says that the UK's stance on this is not going to win Cameron any friends. However...
Does he have any friends in Brussels?
Well, if you consider the fact that the Conservatives promised that there would be an election, a referendum, on EU membership, that may be what he's looking for above all else. Because if we take a look at this opinion piece from The Telegraph, which is, of course, a conservative right-wing newspaper, they really spell out the anti-EU agenda that could be at play here. They say if Britain is to take in some of the huddled masses washing up on Europe's southern shores, that should be decided in London by politicians answerable to the British people, not in Brussels, by bureaucrats accountable to no one.
So it could be more to that story than first meets the eye. What about what the critics are saying about Theresa May's plans and what she wants to do to break with the EU completely on this?
Plenty of critics out there, obviously. The Refugee Council has tweeted today that the UK government seems oblivious to the fact that the world is currently in the grip of the greatest refugee crisis since World War II. A British journalist, Cathy Newman, says yesterday David Cameron promised compassion. So why is his Home Secretary shunning drowning migrants? And the Daily Mirror, which is a left-leaning newspaper, they've been speaking to Sandro Gozzi, the Italian EU minister. And he has really blasted the UK's stance on this, saying that it's extremely short-sighted. He says that only 4 countries of the 28 member states are currently sharing the burden, and that the EU must have a truly common policy on immigration.
It's a very emotive issue, that one, isn't it? Let's move on to the big party going on in the south of France. The Cannes Film Festival, of course, kicks off today. What has been the big talking point so far, would you say?
So far, it seems to be all about the girls, which is
it always is, isn't it? And the frocks.
It is when they're talking about frocks, but less common when we're actually talking about the directors of the movies. And as Marie-Claire points out, a female director will open the Cannes Film Festival for the first time in 28 years.
No.
In fact, it is only the second time ever that a movie opening the festival has been directed by a woman. And, of course, it stars Catherine Deneuve. So, of course, that's seen as a triumph for women too, because, as we all know, the parts on the big screen tend to dry up once you've...
At a certain age.
Yes, exactly, the big 50. So they're pointing out that there's plenty going on involving women at Cannes this year. Other forthcoming highlights, Natalie Portman's directorial debut, and Carol, a lesbian love story starring Kate Blanchett. Now, she has really been fanning the publicity flames on this one, talking about Carol, the movie, and she was asked if this was her first turn as a lesbian. And to quote the article, Blanchett curls her lip into a smile and asks coyly, on film or in real life?
Oh, goodness.
And she says she has had many relationships with women in the past. Doesn't go into any detail, but it's certain to pique a bit of interest in this particular movie.
Way to get your film noticed as
Absolutely.
well. Really good publicity stunt, that one. Emma, thank you very much indeed. Emma James there with Media Watch.